Thank God this team ended up doing really well in the draft lottery, just so Damian Lillard's loyalty, I suppose, is kind of rewarded. But the Portland Trailblazers, of course, managed to get up to pick 3, which I think is really awesome. It's, yeah, a really good thing for them. There's a player who I have them taking who I think could be a really awesome player. The only issue is we know that for some reason the Trailblazers are already looking to potentially trade this pick, which is really sad. It's almost like you just slapped Adam Silver in the face with your penis at this point. Like, it's just, it's just so crappy. The NBA gave you this opportunity to win the lottery, and there's a perfect player for you to take, but instead you're going to maybe pay it back by trading it. Hopefully that doesn't happen, because I believe there is a player on my board who I think makes so much sense for Portland. They gotta do this deal, man. So it just has to happen. But before we get into who I think that is, I would like to say this is going to be an official clip from my 2023 NBA mock draft, the top 5 version. Go and check that out, which will be linked in the description down below. That way you'll get to see who I have all the other teams selecting and whatnot. Just so in case you're wondering why I didn't take another player with this pick, it might have been because he's already been taken with a higher pick to a different team. So I guess, yeah, go and check that out so you guys are all caught up to date and whatnot. Links for that will be in the description down below. But I guess without further ado, here's who I think the Portland Trailblazers, should be selecting with the 3rd overall pick in the 2023 NBA draft. Now, with the 3rd overall pick, we do have the Portland Trailblazers, and I am so happy that Portland got this pick. I'll talk more about that in a second, but with the 3rd overall pick, I do have the Trailblazers, of course, selecting Brandon Miller to this team. He will be absolutely perfect. I have heard rumors that the Trailblazers are going to trade this pick, which I'll get to in a second. I'm not really liking those rumors at all, but Brandon Miller, my God, does he really add to this team and what they are trying to do. And I think he is an extremely underrated player in this draft. Probably, I want to say, almost one of my favorite players going into this draft. I am one of those guys who believes that when it's all said and done, Brandon Miller could almost go as being nearly the best player in this draft. Again, with Victor Wembanyama, we have no idea how he's going to go in the NBA, especially with the injury pass. Again, touch wood. I hope he succeeds. I think he'll be awesome, and I think he's by far the best player in the NBA. It's why I had him going in at 1. Scoot Henderson at 2, I think, will be awesome as well. But there's something about Brandon Miller that's just telling me that this guy is going to be a very rock-solid dude. Being compared to Paul George as well because of his two-way ability, this guy can just score at will. He's got a good mid-range, a good 3-ball. He's got an extremely just good offensive part of his game, and I think what really comes into it as well is his defense. This dude is a rock-solid defender coming into this NBA draft. Again, I look at him, and I'm just thinking, look, you're looking at a guy who's 6'9". Not only is he compared to Paul George, but he's actually taller than Paul George. And I've even heard some people say he might be more athletic. But just his ability to switch from 1 through 4, very similar to what Paul George has done for the predominant part of his career, is just an absolutely insane, natural God-gifted talent. And I think he on the Portland Trailblazers is exactly what they need. They desperately need a small forward, I believe. They desperately need some defense to come into this team as well. And I think with a couple of things they can do to retool in free agency, this team could very well be back in the playoffs, I think, next year. And that's not even a big, really call to make. I think, look, I was never big on the Jusuf Nurkic signing. Back when they did it, I thought they needed a different type of center, and I think if they were to bring in an interior defender who can help out with the pick and roll, whether it's a backup or whatnot, could still be a really awesome decision. But yeah, Brandon Miller, he just adds so much to this, I think, Portland Trailblazers team that they don't necessarily have. Again, you've got your scorers in Damian Lillard and Anthony Simons. Jeremy Grant just wasn't the scorer that they need him to be, and I think moving forward, I do expect Grant to re-sign. I mean, if Grant leaves in free agency, that is a bit of a disaster, in my opinion. You definitely don't want to see that, but Jeremy Grant was supposed to come in and help Damian Lillard. He even said that he thought himself as to be a number 1, number 2 scorer on a good team. Again, that's what he wanted to do on Detroit, and why I believe he actually almost wanted to stay there, to be honest, just so he can try and be that number 1, number 2 guy. But he was given the opportunity to be the number 2 guy at Portland and didn't really live up to it. He just kind of, didn't really do that. And then Josh Hart at small forward was pretty good, but again, I just felt like when Simons would go cold and Grant wasn't stepping up as a scorer, they needed another guy to come in and help out. And you're looking at Brandon Miller here, can definitely do that. Not just that, the perimeter defense on their forwards now is going to be absolutely insane. Like seeing Jeremy Grant and Brandon Miller switch as your small forward and power forward, and both players having the ability to pretty much guard 1 through 4 is going to be a really awesome thing. And I think if Brandon Miller keeps developing that 3-point jump shot and gets it up to the ability of what like a Keegan Murray was in the draft before him, or even Paul George in the NBA, would be a really awesome ability if he can get to even shooting as good as threes as PG. You're looking at Damian Lillard playmaking to 2 really, really good 3-point shooting forwards who can both defend the perimeter as well. Again, if Simons takes another step, which I believe he hopefully will next season, that Portland team will look really, really awesome on paper. Again, they've got to figure out what they want to do with their center position. It's not working. Nurkic I just don't know how great he is for this team. He's on too much money as well. It's not that great. I think you would rather a different player. But hey, if you can't get rid of him, I still think you need to go for a really good backup center in this draft anyway. But yeah, the fact that Portland want to trade this pick is so beyond weird to me. The only reason I think Portland should trade this pick is if they can go out and get like a pick, 6 and 11 in return from like an Orlando Magic, who I believe have like somewhat those exact picks nearly. Something like that would be a really good idea. Again, then you can draft the Jarris Walker to go play power forward on this team, move Grant to the small forward, and then maybe bring in another really solid young player. But that just doesn't help Damian Lillard as much as what it would be to go out and draft Brandon Miller. So it would be a silly idea, in my opinion, to trade this. Look, they could trade for a star with it, but yeah, I just think it's a risky and a bit of a weird decision. I would take Brandon Miller with the 3rd overall pick. I think that just so happens to be a guy who fits your team at this pick. And look, if the Charlotte Hornets for some reason decide to take Brandon Miller instead of Scoot Henderson, which I don't expect them to do, but if they do, then yeah, maybe you hit the panic button a little bit, because Scoot Henderson, not a good fit for this team at all. But Brandon Miller, my God, he would be a really, really good player to see on this Portland Trailblazers team, in my opinion. But yeah, of course, if you haven't already, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Comment your thoughts and opinions down below. Do you guys agree with my mock draft, or do you guys not? Of course, I would really like to know, who would you guys have maybe going different, and are you guys excited for your team to potentially select a player? What's going to be going on? Let me know all your thoughts and opinions down below. Of course, don't forget to subscribe to my IRL/vlog channel and my podcast and my gaming channel as well, which will all be linked in the description down below. But as I was saying, please make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and comment, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.